And so in the beginning, there was the man, the woman, and the reptile. The reptile is not like the beautiful, say in Australian Aboriginal tradition, there's a beautiful rainbow serpent, and she holds great gifts to give humanity. No, this is more like an earthworm, and it was there in the beginning, and its name is Mortecai. It's like a big earthworm, and Mortecai has no soul. You see, the soul is that which is resourced by God. It is your divinity and my divinity. And because Mortecai has no soul, in order to continue to exist, it needs to be externally resourced. Well, Mortecai, being quite clever, had the idea, seeing that the two-leggeds had a way of honoring God and practicing ceremony from the beginning, of working its own agenda into it all. It was able to say, well, when you do this form of dancing to nature, throw in sacrificing a chicken or a goat, and then over a couple thousand years, as the Abrahamic tradition grew, the request to slaughter bulls at the altar became more and more excessive, because Mortecai needs the blood to be fueled. Well, it was able to get its needs met from the beginning by having the two-leggeds, the humans, also do ceremony in a reptilian brain state. So there was two ways the reptile was making itself known. Through Mortecai, who is, believe it or not, a seven-headed serpent that lives under the surface of the earth. Very real. A head in each continent. Those of us who are children of the earth, we understand this. It is not so out there, because we have a deep earth sense of the sentience and the animism and all the rest that those of us who are children of the sun became disconnected from. That's why there's a big dividing line between heaven and earth. The children of the sun were sent on one path to get Mortecai. Mortecai, sent us off on this path to get its needs met, and the children of the earth on this path to get its needs met. So now our great healing is the children of the sun are going to start to heal in this way, and the children of the earth are going to start to heal in this way. And soon enough, we're going to come together, and we're going to be a team healing this, because it is Mortecai getting blood that is at the root of everything. This daily sacrifice and stopping it is the key to everything. And who in their right mind would be doing this? You see, none of us are in our right mind because we are in our reptilian brain. I know this is hard to believe, but slowly over time, it will become clear to you through your own self-discovery as you learn to pay attention to your internal and external environment in new ways, that there is something going on in a dissociated state. And it's going on because Mortecai, being very clever, has orchestrated this over 5,000 years. Why, when Jesus came, it was to begin to address this, so that as we move into this narrow passage of the new heaven and new earth, we would have the resources to fully release our reptilian brain and no longer have any dimension where Mortecai is being given blood in the earth. Yes, this is very esoteric, but I wouldn't be here to share if it weren't something completely unimagined and unthinkable that is the completion of instruction for us to move into the new heaven and the new earth. So you see, what's been happening is that in the beginning, going back 5,000 years, Mortecai explained with quite enticing appeal that by working with providing him blood, another dimension could be opened up. Well, man found this quite provocative, to be like God, to have a dimension to open and close. Only what happened is that that dimension only has come to exist to fuel Mortecai. It's really unbelievable. But in another dimension, everything we consider constructive is really only there for Mortecai. That is to say, public transportation and medicine and hospitals and morgues and churches and religious institutions, everything is kind of revolving in that other dimension around Mortecai. You see, there was a time, about 100 years ago, where there was a lot of violence and war, and there was somebody who had a funny, caterpillar on his lip. And he and Mortecai found him quite accessible. And through him, Mortecai, this serpent, this reptile, was given a boost in the amount of blood he was able to have made available. And once he was able to have that much more blood made available, about 25 million gallons a day, he couldn't go back. So that meant there was a big boost over 100 years in external sourcing, because Mortecai gives those who feed him special powers and gifts that are occult or strange versions of technology, medicine, science, and power. It's all very strange, but you know Mortecai has something to do with it if you need something and cannot be sustained by the earth or by your own soul. And we are moving back into a reality where the new heaven and the new earth are you and I, dependent only upon the goodness of Mother Earth and the goodness of Father God. We have no need for external dependence. And that's part of why we're going to experience some shifts. First of all, it's not as if there's a Father God with lightning bolts who's punishing us. Some of the huge movements that we're going to know over these upcoming years is the earth recovering. As we learn to work together to starve Mortecai, that is going to be, well, you can imagine anything that's lived for 5,000 years under the surface of the earth and needs 25 million gallons of blood a day is a mighty force. It's as if there's a terrible parasite in our Mother Earth. And the children of the earth, I know, are going to give so much to helping our Mother Earth recover through ceremony and singing and dancing, to help her to be strong as she is in her upliftment. And Mortecai is going to go through the starvation, the death and dying in the earth. That means that as that serpent is going through its paroxysms of not being given the external fuel it needs, that there will be some huge cataclysmic movements of the earth itself. This is part of the purification. There is only one influence that is not in our best interest, and it isn't any one of us or any single organization. It's not the Republicans, it's not the Pakistanis, it's not the Catholics, it's not the terrorists, it's not, this is Mortecai. And Mortecai doesn't want me to tell you he exists, because as long as you're suspicious about that group over there and not trusting me, oh boy, you better know that Mortecai's around. If just my existence inflames a sense of great irritation, Mortecai's got something to do with it. Mortecai doesn't want the light to win, but we're going to anyway. First, by being empowered to know that there is this being that lives under the surface of the earth and that he has no soul, so he needs blood to stay alive. Then, those of us who are children of the sun are going to start to heal ourselves. It's so sad to think that we're such good beings, human beings. As a matter of fact, we're the next stop before divinity in the galaxy. That's why our breaking this darkness with Mortecai is world peace galactic peace. It's so huge because we are God's children. We're so beautiful, humanity. But we've got a reptilian brain, and Mortecai knows how to work with all kinds of influences so that we go into a state where we don't know, in a parallel dimension, that we are functioning in our industries to orchestrate Mortecai getting this 25 million gallons a day. So strange. I know, it's so strange. But over time, this will integrate. And I will teach us nothing esoteric. This is really esoteric. The basic ways that we can become aware so that our reptilian brain isn't causing us to be vulnerable anymore to these orchestrations, to meet the demands of Mortecai. So now you know. Now you have the information. This is the power we need to break. And those of us who are the holy people, because we have an intuitive sense of Father God, have so much to lead the way.